I had a request at the meeting Wednesday night for pictures of installation, and at the time I thought about still shots, but then later decided that best to do a movie where I can comment and show you pictures. This is my shoestring with the Taranis X8R receiver installed. We'll move up here above the and here we have the receiver, and one of the paddle antennas horizontal, and over on this side the other paddle antenna is pointing straight forward, so they're 90 degrees to each other. And you'll notice the wiring is tied down to the bulkhead here and back here, this being the more important area, the ones closest to the receivers. Tied down so that the wires can't move around. The paddle antennas are glued to the airframe. Receiver is mounted with Velcro and gives it some vibration protection. We talked a little bit about using a diode in your battery pack lead to cut down voltage, and I'm using live 2-cell pack here for 6.6 volts. The blue heat shrink is covering up the diode that's in the battery line going from the switch harness to the receiver. Next I have my high wing trainer, and it has a XPS nano receiver installed, and it's right up here on the side of the fuselage, velcroed with foam mounting to protect it from vibration. I'll switch sides. Again, you can see the aileron wire is tied down so it can't get near the receiver, and these probably should be tied, but they're fairly stiff and they're a long way from the receiver itself. Again, the blue heat shrink is covering my diode to drop the 6.6 volt life pack down to a half a volt, say less, about 6.1. I do that on all the older style servos because they weren't designed for 6.6 volts. Here we have my F-15, and it's equipped with the Taranis X8R receiver. And here I've got one antenna vertical and one horizontal, and the closest thing would be the LiPo pack that goes in here for the turbine. Everything else is pretty well tied down and out of the way of the receiver. This one I use a shorting, or I guess you'd call it a shorting plug. This plugs into the batteries, and no switches, charging separately on each pack here. Here's the charging on each pack here. Here I have the foamy P47, and then we'll open up the top and show you the P47 is also equipped with an X8R Taranis receiver, and you can see that it's isolated from all the other wiring. One antenna, as I poked a hole in the foam right here, and it's vertical. The other antenna is in a little place I built in to put it in here horizontally. Again, they're 90 degrees to each other. The wiring here is held pretty much in place by the foam pad in here. In this case, my dropping diode is covered with white heat shrink. Up here I have a 500 mil life pack that powers the servos, and the receiver, and above that a little 225 NiCad pack that runs the landing gear. The electric power battery, the LiPo, goes in here. Here I wanted to show you the example of one of the 5 amp diodes that I put in series with the life pack. The silver band represents the bar on the schematic. I don't have a loose one, but I use the 500 mil zippies on the electric P47. This one's 700 mil life, 1100 mil life pack, and a 2000 milliamp life pack. These are all suitable for various installations. If you have high voltage servos, you don't need the diode.